Frosty the snowman was happy. He had always been a cheerful snowman, but today was special. The sun was shining brightly, making the snow sparkle like a million tiny diamonds. Frosty loved days like this, where the world seemed to be covered in a blanket of magic. He had his magical hat. This hat wasn't just any ordinary hat, it was a hat filled with wonder and enchantment. Whenever Frosty wore it, he felt a surge of energy and joy. The hat had been given to him by a kind old magician who had seen the potential for magic in Frosty's heart. The hat made him come alive. It was a miracle, really. Before the hat, Frosty was just a regular snowman standing still in the yard, but with the hat he could move, dance, and even talk. The children in the neighborhood were always amazed when they saw Frosty come to life. They would gather around him, their eyes wide with wonder and excitement.
"What a wonderful hat," the children would often say. They admired the hat's shiny black surface and the way it seemed to glow with a light of its own. They knew that as long as Frosty had his hat, he would be their magical friend.
Frosty said, "This hat is my most treasured possession. It brings me to life and fills my days with joy." He would often tell the children stories about the adventures he had while wearing the hat. They loved hearing about the time he danced with the snowflakes, or the day he helped a lost puppy find its way home. He danced in the snow. Frosty loved to dance. He would twirl and spin, his movements graceful and light. The children would join in, their laughter ringing through the air. It was a sight to behold, a snowman and children dancing together in a winter wonderland. Suddenly something moved behind a tree. It was a raccoon. The little creature had been watching Frosty and the children with great interest. It had never seen a snowman come to life before, and it was curious about the magical hat. The raccoon had bright, curious eyes. It slowly approached Frosty, its nose twitching with curiosity. Frosty smiled and said, "Hello there, little friend. Would you like to join us?" The raccoon hesitated for a moment, then nodded. It scampered over to Frosty and the children, eager to be part of the fun. And so they all danced together, a snowman, children, and a raccoon in a magical winter wonderland. The raccoon wanted Frosty's hat. It looked warm and cozy. The raccoon crept closer. Frosty was distracted by a butterfly. The raccoon snatched the hat. He ran away quickly. The raccoon went to the North Pole. It was a cold and frosty day, with the wind howling through the trees and snowflakes dancing in the air. The raccoon, with its thick fur and curious eyes, ventured into the heart of the North Pole, a place it had only heard about in stories. The landscape was a winter wonderland, with towering icebergs and vast expanses of snow stretching as far as the eye could see. The raccoon was on a mission, driven by a sense of adventure and a hint of mischief. As the raccoon wandered through the snowy terrain, it stumbled upon something unusual. There, half buried in the snow, was a hat. But this wasn't just any hat, it was Frosty's hat, a hat known for its magical properties. The raccoon, intrigued by its discovery, picked up the hat and examined it closely. It was adorned with a red ribbon and had a certain sparkle to it. Without a second thought, the raccoon decided to put on Frosty's hat. The moment the hat touched its head, a surge of magic coursed through the raccoon. The hat had magic. The raccoon became very powerful. It felt a newfound energy and strength unlike anything it had ever experienced before. The magic of the hat transformed the raccoon, giving it abilities beyond its wildest dreams. It could now leap great distances, move with incredible speed, and even create magical effects with a mere wave of its paw. The raccoon was in awe of its new powers and couldn't wait to explore the possibilities. It felt invincible, ready to take on any challenge that came its way. However, with great power comes great responsibility, and the raccoon was not yet aware of the consequences of its actions. In its excitement, the raccoon began to experiment with its new abilities. It conjured up a whirlwind of presents, sending them flying in all directions. The once peaceful North Pole was now a scene of chaos, with gift boxes scattered everywhere and ribbons tangled in the trees. The raccoon had made a big mess. Presents flew everywhere, and the North Pole was in disarray. As if the chaos with the presents wasn't enough, the raccoon's magic caused candy canes to rain from the sky. The sweet treats fell like snowflakes, covering the ground in a sugary blanket. The raccoon watched in amazement as the candy canes continued to fall, creating a whimsical and enchanting scene. But the raccoon knew it had to find a way to restore order to the North Pole. It couldn't let its newfound powers cause any more trouble. With determination in its eyes, the raccoon set out to make things right, hoping to bring back the peace and magic of the North Pole. Frosty was sad without his hat. He couldn't move. Then he saw something sparkle. It was a snowflake fairy. She was small but strong.
I can help you,
She said with a sassy grin.
We need to trick the raccoon. He loves shiny things.
I have an idea.
Frosty pointed to a giant ornament. It sparkled on a nearby tree. Frosty and the fairy followed the raccoon. They found him near Santa's workshop.
Look at this shiny thing.
The raccoon was distracted by the shiny ornament. He giggled, clutching Frosty's hat. The fairy flew close to the raccoon. She made the ornament spin.
Whoa, that's amazing.
The raccoon was amazed. Frosty saw his chance. He grabbed his hat. The raccoon didn't even notice. Frosty put his hat back on. He felt the magic return.
Thank you, Fairy.
He used his magic to clean up the mess. Presents were stacked neatly. Candy canes were back in their jars. The North Pole was back to normal. Santa would never know. The village was bustling with activity. Elves were busy making toys, and the reindeer were preparing for their big night. The air was filled with the scent of gingerbread and the sound of jingle bells. It was as if nothing had ever gone wrong.
Thank you again, Fairy. You really saved the day. Without your help, I don't know what I would have done. The North Pole wouldn't be the same without your magic touch. You brought back the sparkle and joy that we all cherish so much.
Anytime, Frosty. It's what friends are for. Besides, I couldn't let the North Pole lose its magic. It's too important to all of us. Just remember, the magic isn't just in the hat. It's in the hearts of everyone who believes. Just keep your hat safe. That hat is more than just a piece of clothing. It's a symbol of the magic that binds us all together. Without it, the North Pole would lose a part of its soul. So, guard it with your life, Frosty.
Frosty promised he would. He learned his lesson. He knew now that the hat was not just a source of his life, but a beacon of hope and joy for everyone in the North Pole. He would never let it out of his sight again. The magic hat was special. It had been passed down through generations, each time bringing life and joy to a new snowman. Its magic was ancient and powerful, capable of creating wonders and spreading happiness wherever it went. And so was his new friend, the sassy snowflake fairy. She was not just any fairy, she was a guardian of the North Pole's magic. Her wings sparkled with the essence of winter, and her presence brought warmth to the coldest of days. Together they would ensure that the magic of the North Pole would never fade. The North Pole was a place of wonder and enchantment, where dreams came true and magic was real. Santa's workshop was a hive of activity, with elves working tirelessly to make toys for children all over the world. The reindeer were playful and full of energy, ready to embark on their annual journey. And Santa, with his jolly laugh and twinkling eyes, was the heart and soul of it all. Around the world, children were writing letters to Santa, filled with hopes and dreams. Families were decorating their Christmas trees, hanging stockings and singing carols. The spirit of Christmas was alive and well, and it was all thanks to the magic of the North Pole. As night fell, the northern lights danced across the sky, casting a magical glow over the snowy landscape. It was a sight to behold, a reminder of the beauty and wonder of the world. The North Pole was a place where magic was real and dreams came true. And so, with a twinkle in his eye and a hearty laugh, Santa climbed into his sleigh. The reindeer took off, pulling the sleigh across the sky. Santa waved to the North Pole below, knowing that the magic would always be there as long as there were those who believed.